Hey, everybody. Today on the podcast, we have Sierra DeGroff on the show. Welcome to the show, Sierra.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. Just got home from work, just hanging out. Nice and hot in Vegas. It's like 110 out right now, so
What is the
staying
hot
inside.
there? Like, is it a humid hot or like a dry hot? What is it?
Dry.
Okay.
We've had like a little bit of humidity lately, but I mean, hot for Vegas can get up to like 115 or so. So it's about there right now. So,
This might be a really broad, basic question, but what is it like living in Las Vegas?
um, well, I've been here about 8 years now, so it's been a little bit. I'm from Michigan originally, and I went to school in Ohio, so Midwest, um, born and raised, and then moved out here. I live in Summerlin, which is actually like a suburb of Las Vegas. I mean, by like my mailing address, it's Las Vegas, but over by like Red Rock and stuff, it's totally normal. I mean, I've lived downtown. Like I've lived off of Las Vegas Boulevard too, and that's probably the true experience of what everybody thinks of. Um, but yeah, like more recently, I've got a condo over in Summerlin a couple of years ago. So it's, it's just casual suburbia. I mean, we got your homeless people and, all that stuff, but it's not that crazy. Like I'm barely ever on the strip. So, it's like close enough if you want it, but it's far enough that you don't have to really deal with it if you don't want to. So,
Yeah, it can feel like a world away. Do you
hmm
ever miss the Midwest?
I sometimes, yeah, like there's definitely things we don't get here that are like the Great Lakes. Like I'm from Michigan and my parents have a
Hmm.
house on Lake Michigan and all that. And that's definitely the place to be in the summertime. So it's, you
Seriously.
know, taking a change for the desert and super hot temps and all that out here. So there's some trade-offs, that's for sure. But we don't have bugs, we don't have humidity, and um, yeah, there's a lot of other things. Like anywhere that's desirable is like a 5 hour drive, I feel like, in the Midwest, or you're
Mm,
hopping on a plane and going two time zones over. So
yeah.
um, just this is a lot more accessible out here for a lot of stuff. So I don't know. But I do miss it. My family is all there and everything. So I'm gonna try to get back pretty soon here.
Yeah, you got to schedule that in the summertime, but you've got a lot going on. I saw you got back into Badwater.
Yeah, so that's the main focus right now is training and getting places to train for that. Like we were in St. George last weekend, and this weekend I'm headed out to Lone Pine, gonna do a big climbing run. I already did the portal climb, so we're gonna do a different one this weekend. But and then we're in Colorado next weekend for another race to tune up. So we'll see. After all this fun in July, we'll try to head out to Michigan maybe end of July or August or something. So,
What do your parents think about what you do with your running?
uh, well, my dad's always been a little more interested and involved, I guess, if you will. He actually went out to Badwater last
He
year, so
did.
that was, yeah, he really wanted to go. So I was like, well, you really picked a big ultra to do your first one at. So I don't know, it was cool. Like my friend came out and he's got to us in Lone Pine and at the finish to take some pictures because he's a professional photographer and he kind of just like tagged along with my dad and they hung out for the week and that was cool. So he didn't have to just be by himself because I mean my dad thinks I'm really tough. I'd be probably a little crazy too with how much I run, but I feel like, I've been a runner for so long, just not ultra runner that I don't want to say I blame it on him, but the whole cross country thing in high school, that
Hmm.
wasn't my doing. That was like my coach and my parents that were like, come on, you got to do this. And it's like, all right, I guess.
It's your
So
fault I got hooked.
yeah, exactly. But no regrets. I love it. So I'm happy.
Wow, that's interesting that he came to Badwater for his first ultra of yours to witness because also you got really sick.
Yeah.
So like
I think
that
that
would
was
be
hard.
scary as a parent to see like, oh my gosh, I think I'd just be like, come, just come get in the car. Come on.
Yeah, no, I've had some rough hundreds. I've done like 16 at this point, and that one was definitely one of the top suffer fests, I'd say. I mean, everything was going right until it wasn't. You know, I was with the
Mm.
lead pack for the first 40 miles with Harvey and Ashley and Simon, and I wasn't cooling properly. I mean, now I can look back at all the mistakes that were made that we're not going to make this year, but yeah, when things got bad, it was just worse, and then it got a little better, and then I lost like almost 20 pounds out
Oh my
there from
gosh.
throwing up, so that was pretty bad. But
Wow. Did you, I mean, and 20 pounds that like your body probably can't really afford to lose. Like, did you have to go to the hospital after that?
I didn't go to the hospital. No, I mean, some people might have, but uh, I mean, you do enough of these, you're like, okay, as long as I'm better, like in a day or two, like I shouldn't need, I mean, the day of and the day after is kind of hard to judge, but
Right.
everything kind of subsided after that. So no, I mean, the puking stopped and I was able to start eating again and drinking. So that's the important thing. If I was in danger, I feel like I would have, but you got your crew with you and you're not like off the grid. So I mean, I needed medical attention. It was there.
Yeah.
So.
Um, what about Badwater? Like, how do you want to go back to a place where you suffered so severely? And I know you said like, oh, we're going to fix all the things that we
Mhm.
didn't do right, but does it scare you a little bit to know that that suffering is out there?
I mean, of course, like I said, this isn't my first rodeo. Like I've had a couple suffer fests at this point. But I think that's how you get better at these hundreds. I mean, it's not like the shorter stuff where it's all calculated and, you can be like, well, I did this on this training run and this
Mm-hmm.
on that. Like you do all that, but with the 100 miler, there's just so many other factors and how do you like deal with the challenges and stuff. I mean, it makes me want it even more, and I'd love to win. I mean, that's like my goal would be to win the race, and 24 to 28 hour would be my A goal, but everything has to go right for
Mm-hmm.
that. So, um, yeah, I mean, I really want to do it right this time, so I don't have to go back for a little bit. But
And then
yeah.
who's your crew going to be this time? Is it some of the same people, all of the same people?
Yeah, so like 50% will be coming back. So my boyfriend Joe and my friend John Willman, we've ran like 80 miles in 100 before together. So
Wow.
like before he ever crewed me, he was like a really good,
Mm.
running buddy. And then my friend Maya will be a new one, and she's been running 100 milers for over 10 years now. So she's been doing it forever. And then my friend Megan Ecker, I don't know if you know who that is. She just had a phenomenal performance at 6 days in the Dome. She ran like
Oh, wow.
526 miles. So she's like next up behind Camille, I think, for the world
Yeah.
record. Yeah. And like I'm
Wow.
friends with Camille too, but I'm like, dang, Megan, like, she's a teacher, like not a full-time runner. I mean, I'm not a full-time runner either, but I'm like, you're just amazing. So,
Wow.
um, yeah, Megan and Maya will be new, and the other two are veterans. But Megan's been out there before, so Maya's really the only like Badwater virgin, if you
Mm.
will, that hasn't crewed or paced or ran the race or anything. So, um, yeah, we should be good. I mean, I'm not too nervous about it. Like, I'm fortunate enough I have tons of friends that either live nearby or do it, so it wasn't a big deal to fill the slot.
Okay. That race you mentioned that your friend Megan did, and because you said she did what, 520, 520 miles?
Think 526, and Camille's was
It was
like what, like
540, right?
560? I think it
I,
was like 560,
was it
something
60?
crazy. I think
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, don't quote me on this, but I'm
No,
pretty
it was
sure because
540 or 60 because
yeah.
I just interviewed her. Um, well, the reason I followed up on that is because I'm like, with the Camille thing, they had so much PR because of the Lululemon Further project. And when you
Mhm.
mentioned this race, I'm like, I don't remember seeing anything about that. And like, that's a big deal.
It is a big deal. I mean, like Megan's had some very standout performances. I mean, I'm her friend, so obviously I follow, but like she's doing bigs this year too. I mean,
Oh, she is.
yeah, she ran like 270 miles at the last man standing earlier this year and beat this guy or something. Like she's done some really high mileage, 55 or, like multi-day
Hmm.
course things and this, I'm not surprised that she did so well at the Dome. And it's a USATF race and stuff. So, I mean, I think it's in Milwaukee. So I don't
That
know
seems
where you're in the
random.
Midwest, right?
I
Okay.
was for a long time. I'm in North
Oh,
Carolina
okay.
now, but I'm from Indiana.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. In a track for 6 days inside, that just sounds
Wow.
terrible to me.
Can you
I've done
imagine?
a
Oh my
track race
gosh.
outside, but not indoors. And that was for 100 miles, which was plenty. So,
Wow. That's
yeah.
wild. So, you mentioned cross country as a high schooler and your dad and your coach kind of getting you into it.
Hmm.
But I looked up your ultra sign up results and everything, and I saw you run your first ultra in 2015 at 24. That's the first on ultra sign up that I saw? Is there
Yeah.
anything before that?
That's that's accurate. No, that's accurate. Yeah.
Okay. So that's pretty young, 24, to do your first ultra. What
Hmm.
was the impetus for that? How did you get into ultras?
Yeah, so like I said, I grew up in Michigan. I went to school at University of Toledo. So in college, I worked at Dave's Running Shop, which has a pretty big presence in like Ohio. They have like four running stores and they put on the Glass City Marathon. So I was working there and I was on their race team because they had like a store race team. And I don't know, I mean, I was looking at, I think it was Woodstock was my first one, and I was looking at that, and it wasn't going to be a BQ. And at the time, like all I really cared about was marathons, and it was like a couple more dollars to do the 50K. So I'm like, well, let's try something new, like it's a trail race or whatever. So yeah, I went and did it, and it was okay. Like at the time, I wasn't like sold on ultras because it wasn't people weren't as into it, especially back then and in the
Yeah.
Midwest. It was like nobody really did that stuff. Like it was just like marathons or half marathons. So, yeah, that wasn't really what sparked it for me. Because if you look, it took a little bit to like, raise the distance and
Hmm.
really get into it, like a couple of years. So moving out here definitely helped grow that passion for sure.
So 1600s.
Yes, that I've completed. I've attempted 18. I've finished 16.
Okay, let's dissect those a little bit. What was the hardest?
Oh, man. I mean, trailer road.
What do you like better, trailer road?
I mean, I'm better at road. I think I
Okay.
like the road better because that's like, my background,
Uh-huh.
but I do have like a soft spot for trails. I mean, they're super pretty. Like the places that I've been on some of these trails and these hundreds, they're just phenomenal. I mean, like Cascade Crest 100 so for trails, that was probably, I would say that was probably the hardest, trail
Cascade
100 that I
100.
did. Cascade Crest in
Okay.
Washington. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, and I don't know if that's because it was like the first of like three that I did the summer of 2022. I had like a 2 week gap in between Cascade Crest, Angel's Crest, and Leadville.
Okay.
So that was a little wild. But Washington's trails are just so rugged, like, and you wouldn't think that, and the vert's not that high, but yeah, the terrain's just super techy, at least from what I'm used to. I mean, we're kind of technical in Nevada, but there's some runnable stuff too. So I'd say that for trail, and then for road, I mean, Badwater, of course. The loop stuff's
Mm,
kind of hard too, though. I mean, because you really gotta have a different like mental game with that, because you're just doing like the track race. It did like over 400 loops around the track. I mean, you can't. Yeah, there's no like even keeping track at that point. So. Um, I don't know. I think a 24-hour, if I completed a 24-hour on a track, because at Solstice I pulled the plug at 100 miles because I had just done
okay.
FatOx like weeks prior. And I was just like, I'm trash. Like I can't imagine another extra however many hours around this track. I think that would be really tough, like a 24-hour around a track. Just haven't done the whole time yet. So,
But
but
if you hadn't have just done the Fat Ox 24 hours, I'm sure you would have
oh,
completed.
yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't a matter of like, can I do this? It was just like I had won the 100 and I got my buckle and everything. And I mean, I don't want to
Yeah.
sound like a baby, but I'm like, I want to go to bed. Like, I want to lose sleep because
Oh,
I didn't take extra time off work or anything either. We just like drove down to Phoenix after work on a Friday and had to go back
I
on
don't know how you do
Monday.
that.
So,
I don't know how you do
yeah.
that. So you work full time, you have a normal 8 to 5 job. What do you do?
I'm an account manager for sales. So, yeah, I sell electrical distribution equipment, for Vital Electric Supply. So, yeah, it's fun. I'm like 8 to 4:30 Monday through Friday, and when I'm not working, I'm usually running or at the gym or doing something of that nature. So,
This is why we're recording this 8:30 Eastern time, 5:30 Pacific time.
yeah.
Would you normally be running right now though? Like did you carve it out? Are you going to go run after this?
No, I was supposed to do a double today, but I did a double yesterday instead. So I planned ahead. When I got
Okay.
your email, I was like, we'll just do it. I
Oh,
mean, I can flip flop. It's not a big deal. As long as the mileage is getting in, I don't care whether it's Wednesday or Thursday or whatever.
yeah, that's good. People, everyday runners need to have a little bit of that, more of that mentality, I think.
Hmm.
I saw that you
Yeah.
recently-ish started working with a coach.
Yeah. So I hired my first coach before jackpot. I had Connor, Camille's husband, coaching me, so we did a little bit together, and
Okay.
um, I basically bought a plan from those guys, so it wasn't like a very like one-on-one sort of thing. So I
From
don't know.
Connor.
I maybe didn't from Connor, yeah. And I mean, I have a degree in exercise science and I don't really have an accountability problem. Like
Mm,
I've been training myself for years and I will do the workouts, like I will do the miles. It's just I don't know. I kind of like needed somebody more to talk to, I guess, if you will. And it was nothing against them. And I probably, like I said, I just bought the wrong plan. So I met Anime, my current coach back at Javelina last year because she was coaching Ryan at the time, Ryan Montgomery. And I was kind of in the same tent as those guys because I was crewing and pacing Rachel Norfleet, and that's one of Ryan's like best friends. So anyways, I like got in the mix with her, like watching her coach him and like how, speak with him and everything. And we became friends at that point also. And, it just, it seemed like it was going to be a good fit, I guess, just with my, I don't know, like my experience seeing her and Ryan and like how she is with him and just as a coach. And, I had no problem like talking to her on like a friendship level and everything too. So I just hit her up and was like, hey, I think we could try this and this would be good for us or whatever. And so I've been working with her. When did I start with her? It was after jackpot. So February, March. So yeah, we've been working together since then. So.
you seem like you said you don't have a struggle with motivation. Like you're going to get done what needs to get done and you know
Mhm.
what you're doing. So like how does that work with a coaching relationship when like you were just saying like, I just did my double yesterday instead. Like you know what to do. So how do you handle that relationship?
Um, so yeah, I think that's kind of why I made the switch also. I needed something that was more personalized and like tailored to like in the moment. Like what I got with the other guys was like, okay, here's your plan. This is going to go like 2 months out. This is your week to week, whatever. And it was just almost more stressful for me to like not have that person to kind of like, you know, I guess go text or whatever the week before and be
Yeah.
like, hey, by the way, like I forgot, like I want to do this race as a training run, or
Uh-huh.
I have this other goofy thing that I need to do, like, and with her, it's like I just text her and tell her and she'll kind of work around it because I'm getting it week by week, so it's not like I have to like, worry about that stuff. And she's been very flexible. Like, I mean, it's like I don't want to call it it is a partnership, like it's
Yeah,
not just like this is what you're doing and I don't care what you want to do. Like it's like no, like let's work around what's important to you and and we've had good, results with that. Like I'm happy with it and I'm happy working with her and I can just text her, call her, whatever. And that's more so what I like needed. I don't know that I needed somebody to just do the programming, So
totally.
hmm
Will she be at Badwater?
she won't, no, because she's a runner too.
Yeah.
So she's
She's got her
got
own
her own
thing.
stuff and she's in Colorado. So unfortunately, no, but maybe Javelina. We'll see. I don't know yet. She's not running it. So I don't know if she's running it yet. So maybe we'll get to race each other. That would be funny. So
That would be
anyway,
so funny if you're racing your coach.
yeah. I mean, it's fine. Like, I'm sure it'd be a little weird, but yeah, like, it's just like anything else. Like, I race other friends that I have too, and it's just, you know,
Y-
friendly competition.
Yeah.
So,
So I saw you jumped into a half and ran like 121. And I'm so curious. Like, you run 100-mile plus distances. And I know obviously you weren't training for that 121. You're just like, okay, what can I do here? Um, what does that like pain feel like? And what does that even like, how does a race like that even feel? It's such a small blip from what you're used to.
oh man, that one that I did that you're talking about, the rock and roll, that was
Uh-huh.
like not even a week before Jackpot 2023. And honestly, I didn't have a coach at that point. And it was funny because like I didn't really think it through. I was like, oh, it's like just the speed workout we're going to do on a
Yeah.
Sunday night. And then we're going to run 100 miles on Friday. And, it wasn't really well planned. I mean, it was executed, but like, I was pretty sore and struggling for like a day or two after that race. And because it
Oh, I
hurt, like
bet.
that's the fast half for me. That was a PR. So,
That
um,
turnover.
yeah. So I don't know. It worked out. Like I had a PR at the 100 too. So that was great. But, this year we tried it again and it was like the opposite. It was the 100 had moved up a week. So I did jackpot and then I did the half a week later, and I think my time was like a 128. And
I
I'm
saw that
telling
video
you,
of you.
oh, it was bad. Like, I feel like I totally screwed myself on recovery just from
Oh,
jackpot because I didn't give myself a recovery. So we're never doing that again. We're going to pick a half that's just not a week apart. So,
so a week
anywho.
before, a week after.
Like for me, running a half is no big deal because it's like, well, I just have to work hard for like less than an hour and a half. It's not like, okay, you got to work hard for like 16 hours, So it's a little different. It hurts
It's
different
the
too, though. It does
intensity.
hurt.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
intensity of that hour and a half or hour
Yeah.
15 or whatever. It's like
I don't love
probably,
it. That's for sure.
yeah. How do you
Yeah.
decide which races to do in this ultra space?
So the last 2 years, I've been more focusing on like what I'm the best at, not so
Mm,
much what I'm going to have the most fun at or, whatever.
mhm.
Um, because I found the loop courses and the road stuff, far more competitive than, I've won some trail races. Like I'm not going to say I'm like garbage on the trails because I'm not, but I'm definitely stronger suited on the road stuff because that's just my
Mm.
background. I'm clumsy, like, so,
Mhm.
yeah, the last 2 years, I mean, Badwater is like the chip on my shoulder where it's like that was like the goal race of the year. I mean, I would have loved to have PR'd at Jackpot, but that's behind us. And now we're just really focusing on that. And um, Javelina, that's another one I need a redemption race at because I didn't do so great at the 100K a couple of years ago. I got sick at that one too. So I'm going to try to go big at that one also. But I don't know. I
I saw you
mean,
have that in October.
yeah. I mean,
Are
I'd
you doing
love
the
to try to go
100?
for, I am doing the 100. Yeah. I'd love to try to be in contention for a ticket, like a golden ticket. That'd be awesome. But like I said, the day just has to kind of, has to go well. And, um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to put too much on the calendar because I have like this thought of maybe sliding one more in, but it's like, no, like we're just gonna, scale back a little bit because last year I just felt the fatigue big time at the end of the year. So, I kind of want to respect these races a little more.
And I'm sure probably at least 50%, maybe 80% of the people listening know what you mean when you say golden ticket, but you're talking about Western states.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, in case,
Yeah.
because like I do lean towards
No, I
marathon
know.
interviews.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I'm just like, I should clarify in case someone's new to like the ultra scene. Because I was going to ask you that too, though. Like, is Western states on your bucket list?
Yeah. I think it is on my list. Hard Rock is also on my bucket list. That maybe a
Okay.
little higher than Western States, but I think it's more like the ticket chase would be more of a accomplishment, obviously, in my
Mm.
opinion. Like, obviously being at Western would be amazing, but otherwise it's just gonna take me like 6 years, like everyone else. So, um,
You're saying to get in with the ticket, like getting that
with a
ticket is what
ticket,
would,
you get in sooner. Yeah.
yeah,
Without, I'm just going to have to keep running these 100 or like the ticket qualifying races, which,
yeah.
um, this year mine would be Javelina. I mean, I've been trying to qualify since maybe 2019 or 2018. I don't remember at this point. So it's been a
And
little
golden
bit.
ticket races, you correct me if I'm wrong. Do you have to get top two at these golden ticket races?
It varies. So Javelina, it's top two.
Okay.
Some of them go three deep. So like I think Black Canyon goes three deep. But it's cool because Aravaipa has two of those races, and I'm actually on the Aravaipa race team also. So that's
Oh, cool.
exciting. Hmm so.
Are you going to be paying attention to Western states this weekend?
Yeah, yeah. No, I have a couple friends that are running it, so I was texting them all today and was like, "Oh, I'm rooting for you," blah blah blah.
Oh,
Like I sent Emily Hoggett a text and Ryan Montgomery, and Emily's so nice. I love Emily. And she's been top 10 a couple of years now. So she's a phenomenal runner. I met her at I Am Tough back in 2020.
mm.
She crushed that race and she beat like a lot of the boys too. It was funny because she was like in front for a while and the guys were like, who is this? And like, what are they doing? Like,
Uh-huh.
so she's super cool. But, yeah, I'll be following. I'll get my workout in and then I'll be able to focus.
Yeah. Yeah, you got time.
Mhm.
Well, this episode will obviously come out after Western States, but we have a new podcast in my network called the Trail Network Podcast, and so Rachel Drake and Leah Yingling are both hosts on that podcast, and they're running this weekend, so I'm going to be excited to track
Oh
them.
yeah, they're great
Yeah,
runners.
cool.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
So we're like, okay, so we'll probably air this. I guess it'll be closer to when you're going to Badwater. I mean, where you're like a month away.
Hmm
What does
Yeah,
like,
no, it's coming up. I mean, oh, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, most of us marathoners, like we do like a typical 2 week, maybe 3 week taper. Like, what does your life look like the 3 weeks leading up to a Badwater? And like, what are you entering those 3 weeks at as far as like how many miles a week are you running and whatnot?
Well, I mean, I can't really tell you that far out because I don't have my schedule yet, but typically, like this Sunday, for example, will be, I mean, at this point, what's the date today? It's like the
22nd.
end of the month. So we're less
Yeah,
than a month
you're
out 'cause it starts on the
close.
22nd. Yeah. So like, for example, this weekend I have like speed work, probably like 15, 16 miles on Saturday. And then I have 30 miler on Sunday. And then next week, and I'll probably have 100 miles for the week. And then next week, I'll probably have another 100-mile week. And I have a 50K on Saturday. I have no idea what I'm going to do on Sunday yet. But I mean, I would think maybe after that, we might I don't know if she'll have me taper a week or two early. It depends. Like definitely the week of, but like maybe for me tapering though would be maybe like a 80-mile week,
Mm.
2 weeks out, because that's still like a lot less volume than what I'm used to doing. But I get like restless. I don't
I was
know. Like,
wondering, you get a little
so
antsy.
yeah. I mean, I just feel like I'm not doing enough, and you're like, what do I do with all this free time on my hands? Like,
What
so
do you do?
other than run and eat and sleep and go to work, you know, I I like to hike. I like to do anything outdoors,
Mm.
really, I like to well, in the summertime in Vegas, I like to go to the pool, so I like to do
Mm.
that. Um, we usually just relax if we're not running. We'll like lay down, watch a movie or something. I mean, I'm really not that exciting.
What does your boyfriend run a lot? Is he like an ultra runner as well?
Yeah, he did Western States last year, actually.
Okay.
He got in, it was his, oh geez, was it his second 100 miler? It was his second 100 miler and
Oh,
he got in
wow.
like right away. Yeah.
Did he get in with a
And
golden
then
ticket? How did he get in?
no, he had ran Hurt 100 was his first 100, which is like a really hard one. And then he did Castle Peak. So he had done two qualifiers and then he got in with like, yeah, like 2 years of tickets. And because like
Okay.
they still call it tickets, but it's not a golden ticket, like you're just
Okay.
lottery tickets.
Uh-huh.
Um, so yeah, he got in and he's doing Leadville this year. So we'll be out at that like August, Leadville 100. So it's a good one. I did that one in 2022. It's a fun race. So
So
he
what kind
likes
of advice are
hundreds
you
and
giving him for
ultras
that?
too. Well, I'm just always giving him a hard time because we have different coaches and like sometimes we'll have almost the same workout, but it's like different days of the week. So like this week I'm like doing hills on Wednesday and I go, why aren't you doing hills? Like you're running Leadville. The whole back half is uphill. Like I don't know what you're doing. And he's like, no, like I got to go to the mountain and I have speed work. So I don't know. I'm not his coach. I don't think he'd let me coach him. So that's fine. I used to coach actually. I coached cross country when I
Oh,
was
you
in
did?
college, so that was fun.
Like high school kids?
Yeah, I coached at Notre Dame Academy in Toledo, Ohio. So
Oh, okay.
hmm
What was your favorite part about doing that?
um, I think it's just really like rewarding. I mean, all these girls like look up to you, and we had like a team of like 40 girls, and some days I was like the only one in charge, and for me, it's like I'm not a school teacher, so it's a little scary at times. So,
That's so many
um,
people.
yeah, and even like their parents were just so like thankful for, the experience that you're like
Oh.
offering their kids and they just, it's just a really good thing. And then you're just helping them. I mean, I think I was like 21 at the time, so it wasn't that much older than they were. Like sometimes I'd
Uh-huh.
go to like the school and so we'd be like, oh, what grade are you in? And I'm like, no, no, no. So yeah, it was fun. I mean, if work allowed for something like that, I'd be more willing to do it now, but it's just like I don't know. And I'm so hyper focused on my own running career at this
Oh,
point
you don't
that
have time.
it's a sacrifice. Like on Saturdays when you're going to those meets, you're not getting a long run in, like, 'cause your long
No.
run is going to the meet and chasing people around all day. So yeah, it was good. And the lady I coached with, we're still really close too. So she
Oh.
was really good to work with. So
Yeah,
mhm.
you'll have to revisit that when you're not doing hundreds anymore. I mean, I just
When I retire,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, honestly, because it just the amount that you work and such a regular schedule. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people do this like balance with work and running lots of miles, but you have like hours you have to be there, which I think would be really difficult. Like you can't just be like, okay, I'm going to work a little bit from like 5 a.m. to 9, and then I'm going to go for my run. And then, you know what I mean? Like, sounds like
hmm
you have a pretty regimented work time.
Yeah, and I mean, I've had it that way for years now. I mean, it's better now than ever. I used to work for Tesla and they would just change my schedule all the time. And when I say all the time, it was like you got 5/8 and then like a month later you got 4/10s and it's these random days. So like we're going to change your work days completely. And then there was like some years where it was like a different time of
Mm,
day every day of the week, different each week. And it was just like, oh my gosh, like how does anybody have a normal life or running schedule or anything with these things? So now I'm like super thankful that I'm back to like regular, at least it's like I know what to
you
expect. I
know.
mean, yeah, there's no surprises. So and Tesla would work you overtime a ton too at like end of quarter. Like I think Jackpot 2020, they weren't giving me any extra days off, so I had to work till 7 or 8 p.m. the night before the race,
Oh my
and
gosh.
then I had to go home, like go to bed and everything, and then I ran the race. Luckily, I got done in like under 16 hours, and then I had to do the drug tests and everything and go back for awards the next day, so I got barely any sleep. And then I think I had Saturday where I just kind of hung out. And then Sunday I had to go back to work. Like it was just like, no, you don't get an extra day off. It's end of quarter. Like, Tesla doesn't care if you got to run 100 milers. So,
Do they,
um,
I mean, do the people you work with like now and then have like any idea what you actually do?
yeah, I mean, like my coworkers are supportive of it for sure. And like my current job, like my boss like posted something to LinkedIn and like had a picture of me and like
Oh,
congrats Sierra and like all this stuff. Like they're super supportive of
that's
it.
sweet.
So yeah, no, they get it. It's just when you work for a major company like
Yeah.
Tesla, I mean, you're not really like friends with the boss. Like I've never met Elon, so yeah, and that's probably a good thing.
Did they
But
give you a Tesla?
no, no way. And I don't drive a Tesla. I drive a Subaru, so
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Um, okay, so you have Badwater. What do you have before Badwater? Anything? Did you say you said you had a 50K?
Oh,
Just
yeah.
that's the
So I'm
distance you're
doing
running.
Silverton Alpine 50K, and that's in
Okay.
Silverton, Colorado, not this weekend, but next weekend on Saturday. So I think that's the 6th, July
Okay.
6th.
So
So
if people are
I saw
like,
Sabrina
I feel like,
Stanley is signed up, which is funny. I don't know if you know who that
oh,
is. She's won Hard Rock and she lives in Silverton. And I was like, what? But no,
I
it's
don't
okay.
I don't know her name. When I hear Sabrina, I think Sabrina Little.
Oh, it's
Sabrina
okay.
Sabrina
It's just
Stanley.
funny because she's like a major mountain runner, and this is supposed to be a very, from my friend told me this is a very runnable 50K out there. There's 4K of
Okay.
climbing, but it's steep roads, so
So that should be good for you.
I hope so. Yeah, that's what I'm banking on. All these hill road workouts are gonna pay off, so we'll see. But
How do you do with altitude? And like, what's that like where you live?
Vegas is at like 2 to 3 in town, and then we actually like I can go up to our base of our mountain, which is Mount Charleston, and run up the road, and it will go up to like 8 something just on the road. So I do pretty well at altitude. Like when I ran Leadville, and I've done other like high altitude races, I've never really struggled with like
Okay.
altitude sickness. Unless I'm like over 14 for very long, like I'm not getting sick or anything like that. So,
What is the most beautiful mountain you've ever peaked?
oh man. Tashars has some really cool peaks, like the Tashar Mountain Range in Utah. It's very similar to the San Juans, which is where we're going to be running Silverton. Um, like I'm trying to think. Belknap was pretty cool. It was like super rocky. I mean, I love Mount Whitney too. I mean, it's
Mm,
just, it's so epic. Langley's a cool one too. Um, Boundary Peak, that's technically the highest in Nevada, I want to say, but it's on the border, so it's kind of arguably the highest. Um, I'd like to do more. I've kind of like calm down on the peak wagon with all these ultras. It's kind of like, okay, am I going to run a 100 miler or go, climb a whole bunch of peaks? But yeah, no, it's fun. I like it.
Well, yeah, and you have time. It's like you have time to focus on that and other times in your life. Like you don't have to do that right now. You've got other focuses.
Yeah, yeah. I'm close
Awesome.
enough though. Like this weekend we'll be out by Lone Pine, so I'll be able to see like Whitney and Horseshoe Meadows is the road we're going to run up, and that's actually going to be the road that takes you to the base of Langley. So
Okay.
we'll get plenty of good views of the peaks. So,
Okay, so one of my favorite questions to ask, specifically ultra runners. I guess I asked shorter distance runners this too, but um, I think I started asking this when I interviewed Courtney DeWalter one time, like last time I interviewed her. Like, how do you, because I always tell her, like, you always look like you're having so much fun. And I'm like, how do you have fun when you're like hurting so bad? Like, how do you marry those two things? Because you're obviously doing that as well.
yeah. I mean, I guess it's kind of like, and this is kind of like the beauty of like, even like, why do I want to go back to Badwater? And like, you look at
Yeah.
some of the pictures of me out there and you're like, I don't know why this girl wants to race again. But yeah, no, my dad was crying at the finish line and he's like, Sierra, you're one tough, like, son of a whatever. And I'm just like,
Oh.
I mean, like, I don't cry, but like seeing him cry and like how worried he was is like, oh my gosh. But no, I think a lot of it's just like, we're lucky that we have the opportunity to like experience these kinds of like highs and lows in like a controlled, like I would say safe setting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it is beautiful to be able to like come out of it and be like, well, look, look what I did or look what I accomplished. I didn't give up. And like, it may not seem like it's all fun in the moment, but like, you go through your highs and your lows and it's kind of like, I mean, doing drugs. I don't do drugs, but like I would imagine like with your endorphins and everything too. So it's addicting. It's really fun and you get to meet great people. Like, I've made a lot of friends at ultras and just ultra runners are all good people. Like you just
Mm.
have a lot of unique like shared experiences. I mean, I met my boyfriend running like at a birthday run. We did 40 miles at Tahoe. So it's like, like a
I
lot of
love
stuff
that.
comes from that. So, um, yeah, I mean, that would be my answer. It's just like a great way to go through the highs and the lows and know you're going to be okay. Like it's going to be over eventually. So, and it makes, you can like channel that to all areas of life too, right? Like I feel like I wouldn't be as hard of a worker if I wasn't, putting myself in those uncomfortable problem solving situations like in my free time. So
I love that you met your boyfriend at a 40-mile run, like group run.
yeah, he didn't, for the record, he didn't do the whole 40 miles, but he had a different race that morning and then he showed up halfway through with In and Out for everyone. So everybody was like, okay, this
Oh,
guy, this
I
guy's
like this
cool.
guy.
We'll let him hang out long.
He's feeding us.
Yeah, we were all starving at that point because I think we were like 20 miles in, and it was in Tahoe in November, and a
Oh,
snowstorm was like coming that night. So it was just I was miserable because I hate the cold. So I was just
uh,
like, this is bad. But no, it was better to have like good company. So
you live in the right place then. So wait, does he live in Vegas too?
yeah,
Okay. Was he already there or did he move there to be with you?
no, he lived in Reno, so he
Okay.
had to leave the north to come down here.
Come down to the heat. Is it much hotter there than in Reno? Is that a dumb question?
Uh, Like all year round, yes, but not really. Like Reno gets pretty hot in the summer, but Reno has like winter.
They
Like
have winter.
we have winter, but we're like not as cold. I mean, I did the Midwest for
You know.
26 years. Like
Yeah.
I don't need to prove anything to myself anymore. So yeah.
I totally hear you with that. Like I'm done. I don't need any Midwest winters anymore either. I'm no
No shoveling
interest.
my car out before I have to go to work. Like, no thanks.
No.
Scraping my windshield.
So what are your biggest goals from here on out? Like obviously the short-term goal right now is like you said you want to win Badwater, you want to have a good race there, but like what are your long-term goals with the sport?
Yeah, so definitely, I'd love to redeem myself at Badwater and potentially pull off a win at that. And then, the golden ticket thing, that seems like that may be the next thing to chase in the immediate future. And then, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not satisfied with my 100-mile PR either. Like, I think we can do some work on that. And I'd like to get closer to breaking 15 and more in that range and just see what's possible, and yeah, just continue to grow in the sport. I mean, I feel like I've already came a long way since my first one back in 2019. And you just got to see what works for you, and it takes a lot of trial and error to figure it all out. So,
Yeah, 5 years. In the grand scheme of things, like it is a lot of years, but it's really not that many years of 100 milers. I mean, in those 5 years, you've packed in quite a bit though.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So just taking it more seriously, I guess, if you will, because there was a
Sure.
year I did like six in a year, and that's just like no elites are doing that. Like,
Yeah.
and the increase in my performance shows when I kind of scaled back on the whole, like, we're not going to do three in a month. Like, that's just crazy. Like, it was fun, but like, I'm not being like super competitive at any of
Yeah.
those three. I'm just surviving at that point. So,
What do you
um,
think you got out of that though? Like, why do you think you did that many so often? And then like, what did you gain from it?
so the real reason why I did all three, the long answer was because, these all these races now, they all have like lotteries and like wait lists. And it's just
Mm.
like, it's not like how it used to be where you can just go do whatever race you want. And like, everybody has their like bucket list races, and Cascade Crest, Angels Crest, and Leadville were all on the list. And then I just, they all do them at different times too, like when you have to like enter the lottery or find out. So you can't really like totally strategically plan your whole season because it's all, at the mercy of whatever the lottery decides. So that year I entered Leadville with friends, like as a group lottery. And that was my third year doing it, but first year as a group. And I never got in the other two. So I was like not really counting on getting in. And I got in. So I
Oh.
found that out over like, I think it was like New Year's Eve. And at that point, I think this was the year after 2020 and 2021 because there was a lot of cancellations. I had been on the Cascade Crest wait list, rolled over twice or something, and totally forgot. And then I was on the AC wait list, got the email about that, needed a Hard Rock qualifier, so I accepted because I'm like, well, you know, I might as well. And then after that, I got up off the wait list for Cascade. And then I'm like, who knows when I'm going to be able to do these again? And everybody has these like Grand Slam or like, Sally did her like
Uh-huh.
choose strong or, like all these like crazy whatever. So I'm like, well, why not just do this thing? I'm going to call it the Sierra Slam. Like I'm going to do all three. It's going to be in the summer of 2022. And so I did it, and it was fun. I mean, I had a good time with it, and I don't have any regrets. I mean, I'd like to go back and run a faster time at Leadville. I think I could do that. And I'd like to do the actual AC course because it was the out and back here. So that
Uh-huh.
was a little unfortunate, but no, it taught me a lot, about sticking through the tough times. Cause I mean, it's not really easy to ask your body to do that 2 weeks out from each one. And um, yeah, that was a fun summer. I had some like health stuff going on at that point too, so my mind wasn't like 100% where it needed to be, but
Mm.
good distraction, I guess, with the ultras. So,
And you got through whatever that was okay and everything's fine.
yep, Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's just women's health type stuff, fun stuff where you're, I don't know. It's just being a girl's fun sometimes.
Oh,
So,
I hear you. I've gotten
yeah.
all the parts removed at this point, so I
Oh
feel ya.
no. Yeah.
It's okay.
That's why I lost a crew member. One of them has to have surgery for that reason as well. And it's from last year, and
Hmm.
it's just like such a bummer. I mean, that's what happened with me. I had to have part of my cervix removed.
Mm,
And I had found out about it like right before one of the hundreds and then
yeah,
had to wait like 6 months to do it. So that was cool. But anyway,
that was fun. Yeah, it's can be emotional too.
it is. And it's scary because like, they just call you and they tell you like your test results and they're just like, the person who's calling you doesn't really know what they're
No,
talking about. They don't really care. And they just drop this bomb on you. And then they're like, oh, we'll have to call you back to schedule your procedure, blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, am I dying? Like, what's going on?
right.
And
What's
like,
happening here?
so I don't know. I mean, for me, it was like I didn't have cancer, but it was like one step away from having cancer. So it was
Yeah.
pretty scary, like being 30, like early 30s and being like, what the heck? And then you're at the lady doctor and all these people are happy that are like having babies and stuff. And you're like, I'm just sad. Like, I'm not
Just
here for something happy. Like, so
I
anyway.
always think about that at the OBGYN, like the
Hmm.
range of patients that are in that waiting room.
Emotions.
Yeah, you've got like people
Hmm.
having miscarriages, people about to give birth, people who might have a lump in their breast, or, like all these different situations just sitting in that waiting room. And you have no idea what anybody else is there for, unless, of course, they're like super pregnant and they're probably,
Right.
but you don't
Yeah.
even know like what the status of that is. It's like, it's such a wild, really a wild place to be.
It is. And I don't know how healthcare is where you're at, but in Vegas, it's like I get there and I'm waiting for like an hour, 2 hours sometimes to be seen. And it's like, this is not how I want to spend my day off. And I can't imagine the pregnant people or
You're like,
whoever that has to go even more often. Like it just seems terrible. So,
you're like, don't you realize I have 100 miles to run today?
yeah,
Today
right.
alone.
Yeah.
I don't know. My place here, I've gotten lucky where they're like fast. Like
Really.
I don't know. Yeah, the office I go to, like they're quick. I feel like I'm never in there long, so I guess I should just be thankful. Um, that's pretty wild to me that you were going through all that amidst running all those hundreds. Like I know you said good distraction, but sometimes when I'm in those like fearful moments with health, I like can't pull myself up to do anything. And the fact that you were like just carrying on and continuing to run is really impressive. I don't know if that's the right word.
Well, for the record, the first one was Angel's Crest, and I was a mess. Like I was like crying
Oh,
the whole way to
mm,
Wrightwood just because I was like, I don't know. The conclusion I had the night before well, I had drank the day before the race too because I was pretty upset. But
yeah,
the night before, I'm like, you know what? I'm not scared of running a 100 miler, but I am scared of dying. So, um,
yeah.
I think that was just tough for me. But yeah, I mean, I dealt with that up until I had just more clear answers. And yeah, it's hard. It's hard to get in your head. And I mean, getting through these hundreds is not hard because you like do it so much, you know you're going to be okay most of the time. But like, you know, health is scary 'cause it's just like, this is out of my control. Like, this is not something I have any power over. And it makes you feel very powerless, I guess. So, um, yeah, it was tough. It was a tough time for sure.
Do you ever feel
Definitely.
like you're like so all in on it? Like, do you ever feel like I need a break from this or like I want to focus on anything else? I mean, I don't my brain can't comprehend it.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I personally, I don't, I think the only times I've felt that way is when I'm struggling with like an injury or like a
Uh,
misdiagnosis or something. Like, I mean, it's just like really testing my patience. Like earlier this year, actually, after jackpot, I had a PT fail where they were like telling me that my quad what were they saying? I have a weak quad and I have a weak hip flexor, which I'm like, okay, I run like 100 miles a week. Like I don't know what you're talking about, but I'll do what you say, I guess. So I was going to PT and we were going like a month and nothing was getting better. It was only getting
Mm.
worse.
Hmm.
And it got to the point where I was like running with a major hitch in my gait. And I was doing like 80-mile weeks looking like I'm limping just about. And it was just like defeating almost because you're like,
Mm.
what's more important? Like just doing the mileage or like feeling good? Like I don't want to be in pain all the time. So it was like hurting me all the time. So that really made me question, do you really want to do this like you are if you're going to feel this way? But I did find a really good osteopath in Las Vegas, and it was actually a back thing. It was not a leg thing. So we got that
Really?
straightened out. Yeah. Because
So you've got it all figured out.
well, you have dermatones, and like I think it was my L3 and my L4 were kind of really compact in my back, probably from all the running. And that was like signaling in my quadricep because that's where those dermatones are, which is kind of like what I was telling everybody. I was like, it's not pain to the touch. It's just like, it feels like something's signaling. And that's just
Hmm.
where I'm like getting the residual pain, and this dude understood all of it. So
Wow.
he fixed me in one session just for an hour. He like fixed, like he
It's
just
like a just
adjusted,
okay.
but like better than a chiropractor. Cause like osteopaths, they like prepare the area and then they like manipulate the whole, like they do your whole body too. It's not just like a chiropractor where it's like, we're just going to snap and crack like two things and it's like 5 seconds. And he spent a whole hour from head to toe, like, and he was doing some goofy stuff, but I'm like, you know what? Like, if it works, I don't
Do it.
care. Like, you do whatever you want.
Did it hurt?
So, no, no. I mean, it is some parts of it are uncomfortable because he's like putting you in certain positions where you're just like, whoa, like, but my friend was like, just go in with an open mind. Like, he's a genius. And I'm like, okay. So yeah, he did the trick. So we're not going to PT anymore. We're going to him
No.
next time.
No. Oh my gosh. That's great. All right. What is something professionally or personally you would like to do? Well, we've kind of covered this, but this can be outside of running too. But I always wrap up with this question. What is something professionally or personally you'd like to do that you haven't done yet?
Yeah, I definitely would like to travel more. I mean, I feel like 2020 kind of like put a damper on everything with that. Like and not just with racing and running either. Like I used to kind of go out of the country every year and like see new places, but my passport is now expired and I need to renew it. Yeah, so just see more things and I need to probably focus on getting home more too, like now that I have
Mm,
more of a regular schedule, just because, my parents are getting older and everything. Yeah, and I mean, other than trying to just improve my running and probably advance in my career too. Like I actually, I'm like happy with what I'm doing at this point, and I feel like there's
mm,
opportunity for growth. And with Tesla, I just didn't feel that way. It was very like stagnant. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for what's to come. So,
will your dad come back to Badwater?
oh, he can't this year because
Okay.
actually he's been diagnosed with cancer. So he's going to be
Aw.
going through radiation, I think, right around the same time. So he would if he could, but
He'll be there in spirit.
I don't think he can. Yeah, I know. It was a bummer because I think he really wanted to go, but I was like, no, you got to focus on this. And
Yeah.
being in 120-degree heat is not going to be
No.
good for you right now. So
But you're like,
yeah,
Dad, I'm going to look a lot better. I'm going to feel a lot better than I did last year. I promise. Did I cut out?
you did.
I said, you can tell him you're going to feel and look a lot better than you did last year.
We'll have to get lots of photos and give him lots of updates. Yeah,
Say,
no,
look, this is actually fun, Dad.
look, I don't look dead. No, everybody at the finish was like, oh my gosh. And I'm
Oh,
like, I know, I feel like death. Like, you don't need to tell me. Like, I know that I feel or that I look that way. So,
I think it's going to
Yeah.
go so much better. I'm excited to follow and see how you do.
Thanks. Yeah. I'm excited to get it going soon, right around the corner. So,
Do you have a best most recent book you've read? I can't imagine you have much time to read.
um, I haven't been reading too much. I did get that book by I'm forgetting the name, but it's Tommy Riv's wife. Do you know what book
Oh
I'm
yeah.
talking about?
Yeah,
Is it,
Steph.
I
I mean, I've
forget the
read it.
name. You know what book I'm talking about. So I started that book and I did think it was very good and I need to finish it. I just got lazy and maybe during taper week I'll pick it up and I'll continue. But no, I was a huge Tommy Ribs fan and I like following her too. So when I saw that come out, I had to get it.
Yeah, her book is called Everything All at Once. Did I cut out again?
Yeah, sorry.
Everything All at Once.
Yes, there you
That's
go.
it. Yeah.
They had a
Um,
movie called that too, not related, but
oh,
yeah,
really?
I it wasn't related to her book, but I don't know. I couldn't think of it. It's something I wanted to say stars, but I'm like, no, that's not the name of it. So yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, she's a beautiful writer. She's really, really good at that.
She is.
Okay, what's your last message to leave with our audience?
Um, I guess I would just say like, I mean, I'm assuming it's primarily runners that are listening. Yeah, if you have goals, just keep chasing after your goals. I mean, you got to start somewhere, and I mean, that's the only way I've gotten better is like believing in yourself and, setting the bar higher and just keep at it, keep it up, and I don't know, stay strong.
Thank you so much, Sierra.